Hi, and welcome to Mods. We're keeping you connected to inspiring science with virtual Camp Discovery, brought to you by Citrix, the museum's official innovation partner. In today's story time, we'll meet Shiro Rosie Revere as she builds a flying contraption that saves the day. Then, we'll make our own hoverboard flying machine inspired by Rosie. Storytime is powered by PNC Grow Up Great.
Rosie Revere Engineer by Andrea Beatty. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved most was a zookeeper, Fred. She made him a hat to keep the snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knew keeps the pythons away. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted. "Oh, truly I do." But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day. Her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. "The only thrill left on my list is to fly." But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." She turned round to leave, but then Great-Great-Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try! This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed. That is true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." "Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next." She handed Rosie a notebook. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf round Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. The end. Hey everyone, so we just finished reading Rosie Revere, Engineer, and now we're gonna make our very own flying contraptions, AKA mini hoverboards, hovercrafts. Now for this craft, all you're gonna need is some tape, duct tape of any kind of color, because it is all your style, a paper plate like this or a heavy duty paper bowl, some scissors, a smoothie straw, and a balloon. With these, we can make a beautiful creation just like this. For this craft, it's super easy. You're only going to need a handful of items. You're going to need a paper plate, preferably a heavy-duty one, some duct tape. Duct tape is a lot more efficient than any other tape here. Some scissors, a smoothie straw, and a balloon. Now for this, you're definitely going to need parents' help. That way you don't hurt yourself, and this does require more than 2 hands. First things first, we're going to want to use our scissors to puncture a hole in the center of our paper plate, big enough to fit our straw through. This is where you want to make sure you don't hurt yourself. Please make sure your parents are there to help you. There we are. You weft it around a little bit to make it bigger. If it's not big enough for your straw right away, you can use your finger to stretch it out, but you're going to push it through just like that. You want to push it in just enough that it's inside, but it's not pushing past it, and it can sit comfortably on the table. The next part is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut your straw in half. There we go. Now this is where your balloon comes in. You want to go ahead and put your balloon right over the top. Make sure you hold it straight, and then you're going to tape it closed right around the straw. Now this can be any color tape. It makes it look a lot more creative depending on what you use, but this is a hoverboard, so you design it as you feel. we are. I'm going to use pink because pink is my favorite color. But all duct tape is valid. There we are. The secret is you want to hold it up, wrap it around one end, and then roll it around. There we are. So we have a nice tight seal with our balloon. Top and bottom. You want to make sure it is tight enough that there is no puncture holes or place for the air to get out of. That way, this is our source of our propulsion power. Around the bottom where the straw meets through, we're going to want to go ahead and put tape around there as well, so your air is not escaping. A little time consuming, it always helps to have extra hands. But that's the cost to be an engineer. You have to be innovative. Don't mind if it bends a little bit. Never hurts anyone. Want to make sure any holes are closed up. We'll do a little extra support right around here so that we make sure no air is escaping whatsoever. There we are. Now you should have enough space at the bottom for you to put your lips on. And this is the general look of your hovercraft. Now that you've finished your flying contraption, it should look a little something like this. At this point, you should have enough space at the bottom for you to put your lips on and blow up your balloon. Now, if you hear hissing, it's okay. You're going to squeeze it and make sure you keep that air from escaping and blow it up as big as you can. Then we pinch it. That way your air doesn't escape. You place it down and then you let it fly. And it should hover around the surface as long as it has air. Now, if it doesn't work, that is okay. We learned from Rosie that our life is going to be filled with flops. You may not always succeed, and that's okay. True failure only comes if you quit. If it didn't work the first time, keep trying until you get it right. And that's all there is to it. Thank you for sticking around, guys, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for Virtual Camp Discovery. This series is brought to you by Citrix, Mod's official innovation partner. Storytime is powered by PNC Grow Up Great. Please stay safe and connected with Mods by visiting our social channels at MODSFTL.